Hello and welcome to Insight. Today we have with us Lieutenant General Dr. Himaly Singh. General Singh has the distinction of being the first Northeastern Indian to become Lieutenant General in the Indian Army. He also has a vast experience in counterinsurgency operations, especially in Jammu and Kashmir, where he spent 5 tenures in 39 years. General Singh was honored with the Youth Seva Medal in the year 2000 and is presently a visiting faculty in Manipur University as well as a member of the Consultative Committee on Naga Talks. Join us today as we discuss the violence that has engulfed Manipur and the way forward. Sir, General Himaly, it is such an honor and a privilege for me to have you on this show, on Insight. I've known you for many years. I have been on talks with you. The one thing that I know is that you know the histories of the places that you've served in very well. You know, obviously, the history of Manipur. So for our audience, let me begin by asking you to give us a brief history. I know we don't have the kind of time to go into the detailed history of Manipur, but give us a brief history of Manipur.
Firstly, thank you for calling me here. To begin with, the recorded history of Manipur, Kingdom of Manipur, begins at 33 AD. This is almost 2000 years back. It is found in the King's Chronicle, which is a recorded document. During that period, it is generally believed that the entire area, particularly in the valley area, was comprised of 7 clans. Those 7 clans, one of the clans was Meitei. So it is believed that the Meitei clan dominated the others, somehow got assimilated because of the geography, because it is in the valley area. So it got assimilated and the entire community formed one community called Meitei with 7 clans which are still existing. With the establishment of some kind of a kingdom all around the hills of Manipur, present-day Manipur, and also in the hills, neighboring hills in Myanmar, present-day Myanmar, and present-day Assam, the kingdom got expanded sometime around 15th or 16th century. When this expansion came, I think that is also the time when Hinduism came into play in the royal family and amongst the Meiteis in particular. Before that, the original faith, some call it Meitei Dharma, but it is more to do with ancestor worship, nature worship. So, but by 16th century, the conversion of Hindus, particularly those people in the valley area, was complete. It was quite successful. About 100 years later, or about 200 years later, when the British came, the Christianity got spread into the hill areas of Manipur, Nagaland, Mizoram, as you are aware. So the continuous kingdom since 33 AD has been continuously ruling the area of Manipur. The size or the territory depends on the power of the king and its army. So, but by 16th century, there was continuous battles, war with the Myanmar in particular, Burmese king of Awa. So I'll say that for good about 300 years, it was continuously at war. When the British came, sometime around 1880, British came actually to assist the home king and the kingdom of Manipur to retrieve their kingdoms from king of Awa, and which you are aware of the 1826 Treaty of Yandabu. Yes. That actually was the starting point of the arrival of the British. Okay. And that is how Kingdom of Manipur got associated, or something like the interdependency between the British and the Kingdom of Manipur. Why? Kingdom of Manipur needed help of the British. British needed Manipur for their designs towards Myanmar, or then Burma, which was being dominated by the French and all. This is that power play during 19th century, early 19th century. But somehow there was a battle between the Manipuri forces and the British. History is very long. In 1891, the battle that lost that was the cause for the lodgement of British representative in Kingdom of Manipur.
A political agent.
Political agent by the name of this one captain of the British Army was placed there. That is how the Manipur started looking westwards with British India, British India. That was from 1891, and this is also known as, it was like a fight against the British. Then came the World War and all that, and then India's independence. Manipur, the King of Manipur signed a merger agreement, a controversial merger agreement, that's what people say, in 1949. That's how Manipur is an indivisible part of our great nation called India. This is very brief.
Wonderful. I understand it's really brief because the history is so long and there are so many facets to it. But thank you for giving us that history. Now let me ask you, you said that there were 7 communities that came under the larger umbrella of the Meiteis. Today we see other communities living side by side also. We'll come to the conflict that Manipur unfortunately is facing today. But how did these communities come to live side by side in the state of Manipur as we see it today?
Excellent. I had covered the communities, 7 clans in the valley area. Then the Kingdom of Manipur. But there are also other traditions like Meiteis and Tangkhuls. They believed that they were brothers. The Tangkhuls went into the hills. And then we still have many traditions, Tangkhul traditions, in our customary marriages and other festivals. So the hills were also occupied by, some similar ethnic group, various tribes. So I still maintain that Meiteis would not have come from nowhere. It must have been assimilation of some of these tribes, like Tangkhul, Meitei and other things. That's how this society has been formed. And amongst the Nagas, the Anals and Tangkhuls and others, there is a relationship which cannot be broken away. Okay. So and even I have also mentioned that even Manipuri language, which is recognized in the 8th schedule, is basically a Kuki-Chin group of language.
It's similar.
Yeah, it is classified. It's not similar. There is some similarity. Kuki-Chin group as part of our overall Tibeto-Burmese group of languages. So all the tribes, 35 tribes in Manipur, I think there is something which put them together historically and even geographically. They are in a compact area, but it is people say it is like a mini India because of so many ethnicities. But in Northeast India is full of ethnicities, over 270 groups of ethnicities. So Manipur has only 35.
Correct. Sir, let me come back to when you said that Manipur merged with India in 49. What was the demography like then in terms of the communities that live side by side?
Demography was, the Meiteis comprised close to that time about 60% of the population, and 40% were mostly the Nagas and Kuki groups of people, and 2%, or when I say Meiteis percent, 66%, it includes the Manipuri speaking, the Muslims, Meitei Pangals also, who generally reside in the plains area, in the valley area. Okay, so this is the composition, demographic composition of when Manipur was merged with India.
General Himaly, you have said that these communities have lived side by side. You know, there are similarities in languages, there are similarities in ethnicities maybe. You know, there is some amount of common ground. Yet the violence that we see today, the fault lines have deepened to such an extent that it is unimaginable after the kind of years of peace that Manipur has enjoyed. I would like to ask you, what is the lens that you would look at this conflict with? Is it through the lens of land rights? Is it through the lens of illegal migration? Or is it all of the above which has culminated into certain frustrations?
The legacy issues, very extremely important, legacy issues of the British administration. When the British administration put the hills of Manipur under the British, they wanted basically, I don't know, maybe because they wanted the hill people didn't have religion that time, it was animist religion. So conversion could have been one of the main interests that they had, And then many laws, like scheduled tribe, then land laws, forest laws, and things like that, which have been building up over a period of time. That's what I'm calling is a legacy issue. Okay? Job reservations, then you have the land issues, you have, then more recently, after the legacy issues, more recently as you have population profile, further decreasing Meitei population. Today, the Meitei population fertility rate, as I like to say, is 1.7. To sustain a stable demographic profile, you need 2.1 of fertility rate. So it is well below. So this is a fear that then also the land laws which you are aware of and opportunities. All this, I'll say that were also exploited by certain elements which could even include political interests, then security from a security perspective, anti-national elements. You exploit this and start off with a narrative that we cannot live with you and things like that. It is not happened on 3rd of May. The reasons were already there, but building up slowly. And people didn't know how to handle it. People thought they put it under the carpet and it will just disappear by itself. So this was bound to happen someday or the other. All these legacy issues plus the modern times, the aspirations, then economic issues were coming up of livelihoods, about their future. In fact, fear of future is the main issue, I'll say. Fear of future of the respective tribes, respective community. How do they survive? Fear. And fear also generates a lot of negative vibes amongst the people.
Absolutely.
Rumor mongering starts, then narrative starts, then counter narrative starts, that constructs, historical constructs, real or imaginary. So all this was happening for last 10, 15 years at least. Then aspirations of, like you must have heard, the Greater Nagaland and Greater Mizoram and this and that. So all this while, the Meiteis were actually boxed in a tiny place with more than 1,000 population density, whereas just never a kilometer away you have 37, density of population. So these imbalances were already existing, and it was feared that any time could have happened. And 3rd of May and then scheduled tribe demand, High Court judgment, they were only triggers. I mean, that's according to me. It was only a trigger to this issue. Yeah.
So very well said that, a lot of these are frustrations that come out of the fear.
Building up.
That a lot of these communities, not just one, but all the communities feel. having said that, the one thing that I find with all the people that I've spoken to, they find it difficult to understand why is it so that almost 90% of the population lives in less than 10% of the land in the valley.
About 60%.
60%.
Yeah,
Lives in less than 10% of Manipur, and the minority populations live in the larger part of Manipur. Why is this so?
Yeah, your question is very valid. I'll also add that these 60%, you are not able to go and live in the hills, whereas from the hills can stay there also and share this 10% as well. Even less than 10% is also there, permitted by law. To share whatever is little left is also. Why is happening is, I think, again, is some kind of a legacy issue, of tribal land kind of this. And people in the tribal society, land is a very important issue. But having, Naga land holding, Naga groups have a different, Kuki groups have a different. In Naga, it is quite democratic. The village, they are the owner mainly. Whereas in the Kuki group, you have the chiefs, supposedly owning the land of the village. Okay, but these chiefs' rights, actually, they were done away with in 1966. Overall, I mean, in the entire notice, including Mizoram, because they were also included in this as Kuki-Chin group. They have been done away, but somehow the Manipur government, it has been done away with, I think, in 1966. But somehow Manipur government didn't implement it through a gazette or something. So that is why Kuki chiefs want to retain their power. It's all about
power. Sir, but what is this power that they wield?
Who?
The Kuki chiefs.
He owns the land. And power is all about the land. He gives the permission, he decides who can stay, who then can't stay. He can tell a village, a villager that you don't stay by this thing. Whereas this is actually illegal.
Sir, you also mentioned the Kuki-Chin groups.
Yeah.
Could you shed a little bit light on what the Kuki-Chin groups are?
It's a broad ethnic group on both sides of the international border. Like Chins are in Chin hills of Myanmar, and even in the Sagaing division. Sagaing division is bordering Manipur and Burma of Myanmar. So there are sprinkles of Kukis also there. And Mizos, basically Lusais. Mizos are also of the Kukis. They are wandering race. In the past, let's say about 200, 300, 400 years back, they used to shift from one place to another and then practice Jung cultivation. So that is why their presence is spread in many areas of the northeast, even in Assam, Nagaland. Then of course, but now with the modern system of agriculture coming in and modern life, so they are generally static in one place, at least last 70, 80 years. I don't think they are moving that as much as what they used to. So our Kuki, now they are well settled, and this is called Kuki-Chin group. To be more specific, like Chins, I think in Myanmar are about, I think their population is altogether about, I think, 4 million, or I'm not too sure of the population. And in Indian side we have Mizoram and Manipur and some in Nagaland and some in Assam area, but in isolated pockets, concentrated in Manipur and Mizoram in particular. So this is collectively known as Kuki-Chin. Sometimes they call it Jo people, Jo people, like that. So it is because of the similarity in the language and culture.
So, but when Manipur merged with India, during the time of the British government, the Meiteis were also considered as forest tribes. Today the Kukis are considered as tribes, the Nagas are considered as tribes, but not the Meiteis. Why so?
This is something that I fail to understand. because firstly there was nothing like scheduled tribe prior to India's constitution. Scheduled tribe means some tribes were scheduled in the constitution as tribes. Some tribes which remain unscheduled did not get included, got included later on. And as you know, there are more than I think 1920 groups still waiting in line to be classified as scheduled tribes. So the Meiteis, that time, possibly people thought that they are advanced community, they are well-to-do people, and they are practicing very high caste Hindu Vaishnavite culture. So maybe because of that, some people decided not to give them this. Otherwise, you are right. The Britishers called the Meiteis as native tribes.
Correct. And recently, I think it's been a couple of decades now, they've wanted to be included in the scheduled tribe list. What prevents them from being included in the scheduled tribe list?
Firstly, the Meiteis themselves, they have a very strong pride about themselves. They said that why should we take the help of reservation to be in the places we want to be? We will obtain it without the reservation. When I was the chairman of a public service commission, I interviewed a girl whom I knew that was qualified to be in the OBC list. I said, why didn't you opt for OBC list? I didn't say you would have got it, but I knew that she would have definitely got it. She said, sir, I will rather not get the job and then take a reservation. And this is the pride. But what prevents, this is the Meiteis part. And before 3rd of May, let me tell you, I think at least 40% of the Meiteis would have opposed the ST demand.
Is that right?
Yes. They opposed it for whatever reason. But after 3rd May, people started knowing we need protection. That's the time when people started discussing, and they felt that some kind of constitutional protection is needed. Plus there were objections from our tribal brothers of Manipur itself who opposed it. On the fear, everything is about fear. Fear that their reservation and their land will be shared or lost. Whereas I say that reservations of 31% exist, so we can always have 31% for the hill tribes and like that, some kind of arrangement. Because that's not going to infringe on their percentage. At best, the Meiteis will compete outside in India, in Indian jobs or whatever, So there was some fear, and that was the reason for that march on 3rd of May, which turned violent. It turned violent only in Churasanpur, not in other parts of the state. Yeah.
Correct. So this is a very, very complex state. Yeah. It has many, many factors in it. Yeah. But let me go a little deeper into our conflict that we are seeing right now. Obviously, there's been opposition to the scheduled tribe inclusion, but to safeguard the rights of our tribal brothers and sisters, there's also the hill councils. Yeah. Why is that not enough for them?
Very good question. Actually, as I said, that Article 371C of Indian Constitution, which came into force in 1972, creates the Hill Area Committee and also the district councils. Some people feel that this is not adequate for the development of the hill areas. The council and the Hill Area Committee is not adequate. That's because they say that the development has not come. Why the development actually has not come has got other reasons like corruption, governance, and many other factors also. But many people also feel that this is the main reason why it is not working, is that these powers of the district council are not adequate, powers of the Hill Area Committee is not adequate, That is the reason why what you are saying is that, why this is, why it's not adequate. Whereas the other interpretation is, at least I also have a view, is that Hill Area Committee 37 is a very powerful body.
Correct.
And some people are not exercising their powers which are given to them by the Constitution.
Sir, is it that they don't know that they have these powers, because the Hill councils have pretty much all the powers that autonomous district councils have?
Autonomous district councils have powers, but since our Kuki brothers and Naga brothers are feeling that they are inadequate, there must be something about it. So we must look into this, whether they need more power or some kind of a restructuring. That is up to the political masters.
Of course, sir. I believe that, everybody has to live side by side. All these communities have to live side by side, and everybody's grievances must be taken seriously. Yeah. But having said that, there's also been a demand for sixth schedule in the state. What are the provisions that would give the hill tribes?
Historically, when in the Constituent Assembly, which said before making the Indian Constitution, sixth schedule was meant only for the Greater Assam, which was then existing. Manipur being a kingdom, and nature of the nature of the population, the Constitution framers of the Constitution and the laws, they felt that it may be better for Manipur to have a hill council, district council under 371C, rather than for a sixth schedule. But the difference is sixth schedule has got more powers. In Assam has got, I think, 5 or 6. So sixth schedule has got more power. They have got more financial resources. They can make laws in certain scheduled matters, which the district council don't have. In the district council, the boss is the district commissioner. So there are certain structural issues which people are demanding that these need to be looked into.
Let me take this a step further and ask you that we've seen unprecedented violence, between these communities. And we've never seen this before. We've never seen Meiteis and Kukis in conflict. Yes, there's been Kuki and Naga conflict, there's been Kuki and Paite conflict, but not Kuki and Meitei conflict. And the fault lines, some people say that, have been created by external agencies also, like the infiltration matter. Would you agree with this? Or would you say it's a multi-layered?
It is a multi-layered. We spoke about the legacy issues. Yes. They are continuation, propagation of all these issues coming out. As I said, they were dormant, under the carpet. Yes. Then people try to exploit by way of, people talk about the poppy cultivation, then people about illegal migrations, people talk about other issues of, encroachment in the forest areas and all this. Then people talk about majority dominating the minority, all this. So all these were building up in a very, very fast pace, actually, I would say. So I think we fail to see that.
So infiltration, by this you mean is a reality? Because
illegal migrations.
Illegal migrations, because I have heard people say that there is no illegal migration. But from what I understand, you're saying is that is a fact, that there is illegal migration.
I'll just give you, there was a cabinet subcommittee headed by Mr. Haukib, a minister, Hill minister. So they did a kind of an NRC exercise. And within a few days, in January or something, they discovered about 2,400 Myanmaris already inside, within a matter of, I think, very less days. So people are asking if it was, if this incident didn't happen on 3rd of May, or firstly, I think it was stopped abruptly, that identification of the illegal migrants. But if it had continued, people are claiming that there would have been in many, many thousands. But it was stopped after detection of about 2,400. I'm not very sure about the figures.
But approximately.
So the fact is that they exist.
They exist.
Yeah.
Sir, but, let me come to the solutions.
Some of them, not all, huh?
Of course, sir.
Yeah.
You know, people who've lived in these lands, you know, for generations cannot be termed as migrants, you know. But having said that, how do you think illegal migration can be stopped? Because these borders are porous. They are highly, densely forested. Will fencing help?
See, the illegal migration actually is happening all over the world in search of livelihood. In the case of Manipur, there is a push factor from instability in Myanmar. And there is a pull factor of Indian democracy and then, the support system that you enjoy as a normal Indian citizen, as a tribe in the hill areas. So there is definitely a pull factor. So we should not just wish away that it doesn't exist. Okay, and your question was that
will border
fencing. I heard the Home Minister announcing that 10 kilometers has been constructed, the fencing, and 80 kilometers are contract has been given or has been, some orders have been. So, but Manipur, the border is about, I think, 362 kilometers, if I'm not sure, it's quite this. But will the border fencing help? It will help in case you have other mechanisms as well. Surveillance of the fencing, physical otherwise, or electronic surveillance, or from satellite surveillance. Because by just having a fencing and hoping that no one will cross, any obstacle is as strong as its weakest point.
Quite right.
That is what we believe in. So if you just make a fence and then leave it as a fence, it's just a question of few days, it will not exist.
Quite right.
So that is how how the border management mechanism is put into place will dictate what your answer that question.
Absolutely, sir. I think I agree with you on that.
And also the border management force, which is the Assam Rifles in Indo-Myanmar border, they'll have to practically shift into a place where they can dominate by observation the fence areas in most areas. Otherwise, this will not happen. This will not work.
It will take up quite a bit of manpower.
Yeah, it'll take. That is one of the reasons why it will be resource heavy to manage this border management in terms of some rifle manpower, in terms of infrastructure like roads and many other infrastructure will have to be put into place. Just by fence alone will not do anything. Yeah.
So there are so many facets to this conflict, we can talk about the Sioux agreements, we can talk about land rights, but as we are limited on time, I'd like to come to the part where you can shed some light on what is the way forward. What do you think can we expect, not just from the government but also civil society?
The way forward, I'll classify it into short term and a long term. I think in the short term, Home Minister or Honorable Home Minister had announced certain measures, about 9 or 10 measures when he came to Imphal, and he announced it I think on 1st of June. I thought it was a good beginning, asking people to deposit the weapons, then opening of highways, relocation of displaced people, okay, and then observation of Sioux agreement by the Koki militant groups, then even calling upon the Meitei CSOs and other groups to calm down. All this, he did the right, announcement, what he could at that particular point in time. But the effect was not felt immediately. Now I think it is calming down so far, touch wood. The first requirement will be to remove these weapons, illegal weapons. Most of it in thousands,
so
maybe 4,000 to 5,000.
How
because
does one
if you have illegal weapon in your hand, someday somebody is bound to fire due to some enmity there or something, and people will build a narrative. This is the militant. This is that. any society where such a large number of this thing is under threat.
Quite right, sir.
And mixed into this is the dozens of militant groups who are fighting for what they call as protection of their identity. Some are fighting against the established government, and then other antisocial elements, drug dealers, and then antisocial elements. All these come, so it's a big threat. So that has to be removed first. And the security deployment of the security forces is being, I think right now it is, I think, rather well established now after so many days, has been done in such a manner that this fighting stops. And more importantly, I think the people, there has to be track to kind of a effort by the political people and also by the common people, interested CSOs and the women groups, because they are very powerful in Manipur, women groups. So this is, I'll say, the second approach, how to do this. Calming down the, and clearly, like people talk about, Assam rifle ne ye kya hai, this and that, suspicion about cooperation between some security forces and the militant groups and all. All this fear must be, all these rumors must be set to rest by actually transparent kind of a media management. And it is a time to tell people. I have written in an article also, like I quoted Mahatma Gandhi's famous quote, "Eye for an eye makes everybody blind in the world." So this will not end. This is a conflict. There are no winners. There will never be winner in an ethnic group.
There won't be, sir. Sir, but you mentioned Sioux agreements also, and the amount of weapons that are floating around in Manipur today, over 4,000. Let's say even if 1,000 have been resurrendered.
About 1,500 have been surrendered.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. But still, the Sioux agreement was based on double locks, one key with these groups and one key with our military. Now, how does that help the situation? Because if there is a situation like this, these organizations may access these weapons again.
See, the Sioux agreement was signed in 2008. So the records of cadres, records of the weapon are of 2008 vintage. What has happened after 2008 till date? Nobody has, actually done a study on this. But I'm sure there will be many thousands of weapons procured after that. Actually, then it is a violation of the Sioux agreement itself. Correct. They are not supposed to do that. But the fact that people are fighting for last 60 days all over the state of Manipur means there are more weapons.
Correct.
On both sides.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. So let me finally come to your point of view on how this conflict, if it continues, will impact India's Act East policy as well as India's national security.
This is a subject that I have been talking about, very passionately thinking about it and writing about it as well. The Chinese Myanmar Economic Corridor, CMEC, is in direct kind of a, I won't say competitive, I'll say competitive kind of a approach with our Act East policy. And Myanmar is the battleground. They are wanting to get into the Bay of Bengal and are wanting to get into the ASEAN and even Pacific. Okay, so these are almost in the same ground. So therefore, any kind of instability in the Northeast in general and Manipur, Nagaland, Mizoram in particular in this region will certainly impact very, very negatively on the Act East policy. But I also say that in a geopolitical game, there will always be pressures, counter pressures and all that, but India, we as a country have to make sure that our Act East policy succeeds by whatever means the state forces and also state mechanism must be applied to make sure that such unrest, such conflicts do not occur. If it occurs, keep it under some kind of a control status, so that our Indian foreign policy do not come to a knot. For that we need to change our act our that neighborhood first policy, like Myanmar, Bangladesh. They play a very good, very big role in all this. Like you are talking about, Chin, people talking about Gillingham, the Chin group of people, both on international. There's Chin National Army is part of the PDF fighting the Myanmar, and then some groups from Manipur, of the valley insurgent groups, I am told are cooperating with the Myanmar army. So it's a mess. This will definitely have a big impact, and we have to act as early as possible. I'm talking about the India's national security, because it has got internal as well as external ramifications.
So I couldn't agree with you more, because Myanmar has been has been a base historically for insurgents to work against India from.
Myanmar and Bangladesh
and
even China.
And even China.
At some point in time.
Of course, sir. So ending on a positive note, of course, civil society plays a huge role in bringing peace. What do you see happening in Manipur in the next few months?
I think slowly people are realizing on both the sides that this violence has to end. I think so.
I would agree, sir.
From the fear, from a state of fear that they were operating, now many of the people are beginning to think that this fear of unknown, they started to see the actual fear for which hunger, actual fear of unemployment, poverty, about education of the children, and also blocked highways. What about the aspiration of the young people? All these are showing up on ground. They were fighting. I mean, this conflict was fight about the fear of the future. But they begin to see the realities on ground, that this is, perhaps we went wrong somewhere. So I think that is, and civil society and all the mechanisms of the state must try to calm this down. And I'm sure that once these fears are removed, number one, number two, the aspirations are put into reasonable kind of this thing by people, not promising them the moon and delivering something else. So, and also avoiding any kind of arrangement on ethnic grounds. These are all cocktails of dangerous future. So as long as we do this, I think people will slowly calm down. This is my view, but it will take time to heal. For the governance structure to be put in place, it will take a lot of time. To gain the trust back into the pre-3rd May, this will take time. But a beginning can be made now.
Sir, that is greatly a positive note that I am very happy to hear. I've held Manipur very close to my heart, as I have held all of the Northeast, and for all of us to see peace come back to Manipur, nothing can be greater. And seeing that Manipuris are such a resilient society, I think they are going to set an example of how you overcome differences.
Yes.
With that hope, sir, thank you so much for being here and doing this discussion with me.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you.
As General Himaly Singh candidly put it, that these wounds will take a long time to heal. But as we see Manipur slowly inching towards normalcy, our hopes are rising to see the wonderful state of Manipur once again inch towards peace and prosperity, not just for the Northeast, but for all of India. Thank you for watching. Until next time.